Welcome to the Other Dads podcast. Two first-time fathers trying not to screw this up.
Welcome back to the Other Dads podcast. This is episode 6. My name is Josh,
I'm Christian.
and we've got a jam-packed episode for you here today. We've got some recaps from this past week, from Christian at home with JJ, some things with me down at the beach. We'll get into our interview with Christian's male nurse, Zach. As we talked about earlier, we'll go over his experience and his journey becoming a labor and delivery nurse, as well as what it was like supporting Christian and Angela
Lady
in
A,
delivery. Lady A during delivery, and we'll pick his brain on some other questions. And then we've got some segments at the end. We've got Dr. Rick. We've got what the book said, purchase of the week, and of course, did you see the fellas this week? But first, we've got a game to pick.
We've got my Texas Rangers and the Baltimore Orioles. Let's just get it out of the way, Josh. The Texas Rangers suck, and they were a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, I mean, as a Braves fan that had my fun in 2021 and is not going well since, I'm worried that you might be in the same misery as me here.
Yeah, it was a wonderful ride, and I take back all my heat that I talk about one-hit wonders, even musicians. But if you make it to the mountaintop, who cares if you go back? You were at the mountaintop.
Any one-hit wonder musicians you can think
Billy
of?
Ray Cyrus, right off the bat.
Which one?
What? Billy Ray Cyrus.
song?
Oh, Achy Breaky Heart.
I don't know. He was pretty pumped up with that Lil Nas song.
Yeah, that's
That
like
was-
40 years later.
I don't know, man. That might be his best work.
I mean,
some
our
would say.
girl Alanis Morissette from 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There's a lot of great one-hit wonders. I think I like the band Hinder, but I guess they had 2 hits. Never mind. They were 2-hit wonder. Remember them?
Everybody knows. Everybody
You
knows.
don't remember
Hinder.
Hinder? Man, this is good material. Lips of an Angel, and then Lips of an Angel. You know what I'm talking about. And then they had one more. I can't remember, but yeah, maybe they're one-hit wonder. So yeah, no, the Rangers, they stink. I don't even feel bad about it. This is how bad the Rangers were. I was watching earlier. It was 2-1. The Rangers had someone on second, and the Orioles had a higher win probability. We were winning. That's not good.
Well, the Orioles are a good ball club. What are they? Best record in the league?
I think the league, at least the AL.
Yeah, first in the AL East, loaded division. And yeah, like Christian said, it was 2-1 earlier. It's 4-1 now. The Rangers just scored. So this is an important coin toss.
Yeah, Josh is joining us from a different location than usual. He's on vacation, so we
That's
missed
right.
the start of the game. Vacation time, vacation Josh. He doesn't care about when games start. So it kind of comes down to the coin toss because it looks like this is the Rangers game, and I'm going to probably eat those words. But yeah, let's do the coin toss.
All right, here we go. Boom, baby.
All right, who are you going to pick?
The win probability says 82% Texas. They've also got 2 runners on with no outs, so I will take your Texas.
I mean, I've got pretty good faith that we can blow it. The back end of our bullpen's awful. Andrew Heaney's on the bump. He stinks. Yeah, give me the Orioles all day. I want more Mountcastle, please.
Yeah, and we're on episode 6, but we did have a 2-parter for 4 and 5. So this is only game 5 of the series. We're tied 2-2 after the Panthers won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, tough pick on my end. I don't know what I was thinking, betting on a team to win 4 in a row, but that's life. That's how it goes. We knew a lot about hockey.
All right, Christian, what are you drinking?
Oh, DC Brew again, or DC Brow. I've got a Brow Pilsner. I don't know if I like Pilsners, to be honest, so we'll see.
I think it's pronounced DC Brow.
Yeah, it's still confusing to me. I should probably ask them.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I mean,
it's a Pilsner.
Yeah, it's fine. It's beer.
I've got the only. I'm on island time, as Christian mentioned, on vacation.
Not on an island.
Down here in the. It's kind of an island. There's a bridge.
Okay.
Down here in the old Outer Banks, which for our listeners not from the East Coast, No, it is not from the Outer Banks TV show. They totally ripped it off. It's kind of a disgrace to the people that grew up going here.
Or the people that live there,
Yeah,
not the people
yeah.
who.
People here do not like it. People here are like, "That show stinks. They are frauds."
Yeah, it's filmed in, like, South Carolina.
No. Yep, yeah. I haven't seen John B yet, but, I've got a land shark. I mean, it was a
Oh,
1-1
that's great.
for beach beer. Island style lager
The
for the
American
island life.
Corona.
Hey, man.
What? It's made in America. Hey, man. Oh,
Hey, man.
the Rangers just had a base running mishap. So, yeah, so you're out on vacation. I was texting you earlier. This is not your baby moon, right? What's up with that? I don't understand.
No, not a baby moon. Here with I think baby moon's gotta be you and the lady, and this is me and the lady plus the lady's parents, 2 sisters, and future
That's a
brother.
lot of ladies. Um,
Yeah.
but you don't have a different baby moon, so this is kind of the baby moon by default. You guys gotta get away at least for a night, go get some tin.
No, I think there's just no baby moon. We're not baby moon people. Yeah, we might go out on a date. We might
Yeah,
do
there you go.
something.
You got to. I was not a baby moon person, but I'm telling you, I talked about this, I think, in episode 1. It was
Not
good.
not a baby moon guy, but went on a full vacation. Just you
Well,
2.
that's what we do. We go it's like saying every vacation I've been on for the last 4 years was baby moon then.
If but not while pregnant. If it was presented to a grand jury, they would rule you guilty of going on a baby moon.
Yeah. That'd be ridiculous pulling a grand jury. You could just that's a pretty easy one. It's similar I felt similarly about a push present, you heard about that?
Yeah, I'm out
I
on
was
it.
out on it, but then you're kinda like, "This is pretty awesome. I wanna get my wife something." And it just, like, stinks that these things have names. I think I hate the names of them, but they're good things. You know what I'm saying?
Are they?
Like, I wanted to get Angela, Lady A, excuse me, a necklace that says "mom" on it. I thought that was sweet and cute, and I was excited about it, and I'm kinda mad that it has a name. It's just a gift. It's just a gift for my wife, you know? She's a new mom. It's not like a I don't wanna call it a push present. That's stupid to me, you know?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna bring Lady G the original push present. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
There you go. Didn't know what you were gonna say there. Um, yeah, I mean, it's kinda like, DTR. We don't have to say what this thing is. Just let it be cool.
Yeah, also, just want to clarify, this is land shark with a lime. All right, not just plain land shark. There's a lime swimming in
You
there.
might have had a few land sharks from that comment. I mean, the people were not concerned about if there was lime there or not.
No, there's definitely people that if you're like, I'm having a Corona, I'm at the beach, they're like, did you have a lime? There's some
Are
hardcore
you
limers.
are you even having a Corona at the beach if you don't have a lime? I think it's assumed. I assume if you're having one of those beers without a lime, I think
You'd be
you're
surprised.
ridiculous.
You'd be surprised. There's some no lime noobs out there.
All right, so no baby moon on vacation. So, yeah, we apologize for sound quality in advance if that's what happens. I don't think he has his mic. We've got some maybe better Wi-Fi though, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, we're down here, like I said, Outer Banks, pretty much off the grid. Um, Not really near civilization.
Our
So
Slovenian listeners from this interview, they're gonna be mad. They don't know where the Outer Banks is. They're gonna think it's actually off the grid. Um, well, cool. You guys, how's the family taking? Like, is the family talking about the pregnancy a lot? I feel like that's probably a big conversation. Even if it's not a baby moon, I bet you guys are talking about the kid a lot.
yeah, I'd say no, no, actually not
What?
really. I mean, it's pretty much just standard stuff. I feel like at this point, 35 weeks in, it's kind of like,
You've exhausted all
what else
topics.
is there? I mean, what
So
else is
you
there to
guys
talk about? Like,
excited?
we're not telling you the name. We're not telling you the name. We don't know the gender. Like, no, we're not lying. We actually don't know. I mean, it's just kind of it is what it is at this point. It's more
You guys are
like,
still pregnant, huh?
wow. It's kind of more like, wow, Lady G is huge.
I bet she loves it. Loving that.
Yeah. So what's going on with you? We're I don't know how long now. Over a week at home at least.
Let's see. A week at home was Friday. Yeah. So JJ is coming up on 2 weeks old. It's been good, man. We're finding some pretty good rhythms. We're we're averaging like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. We actually had a good night last night. I probably got 5 or 6. Yep.
Nice.
And, powering through some, we've got some routines, like, when he wakes up in the middle of the night, we've got, our, like, watching the show routine. We're watching Succession. It's okay. I might get some mixed reviews from not loving it so much from people out there. I've heard people love it, but it's kinda like, "Oh, this family sucks, and they're really corrupt." But anyway, we're doing good. I went through a spurt, though, I wanna tell you that where I thought he hated me, my son.
Was he crying?
Yeah, he was crying a lot, but it just yeah, I mean, that's what babies do, really. The dad, dads kinda get some crappy jobs. It's okay, I'm not saying I don't want this job, I'm happy to be involved, but it's just, you clean his diaper, he's crying all the time. The main thing what happened, let's just get into it. I was cutting his nails, and yeah,
Naturally.
that's what you do. Well, because dude, these babies, they don't
Are they really ready to cut that
yeah, he
early?
came out of the womb with sharp nails. Um, slice, and he was that's what the kids say right nowadays, right? No, maybe not, I don't know.
Slice, slice, what is he, Wolverine?
He, that they're so long, but and that it's not a big deal if they could, like, control their arms, but their arms just go everywhere, and he's just scratching his face all the time, and then he cries when he scratches his own face. So, I was like, "I'm gonna cut him," and I have the nail clippers that, like, are supposed to be so good for kids, and I cut one, and I was like, "I'm a freaking champion," and I cut a second one, I was doing good. Then I went to his thumb, and
Got
I
cocky.
yeah, I kinda I started to speed it up. I was like, "I don't need to take so long." And I got a lot of skin. I got a lot of skin.
Ooh.
It wasn't gushing, people are like, "Was it bleeding?" No, but it was bleeding, you know? People say, like, "Was it bleeding?" You say, "Yes," they immediately go to gushing. It wasn't gushing.
Not a
No,
gusher. It
it
wasn't a
was,
gusher.
"Yes, he's bleeding slightly," but obviously it hurt him. He cried a little bit, but I swear the rest of the day, every time I touched him, he cried. I was like, "I'm pretty confident he knows my fragrance and he hates me." 'Cause I did that, and then I changed his diaper. While I changed his diaper, he peed all over me, which is like, man, if you have a boy and you're out there, get ready. You're gonna get peed on constantly. Buy way more linens. We had to buy extra changing table stuff. I know it's another segment, but man, they pee everywhere. So yeah, he peed on me. He's crying. I couldn't console him. And then I give it to mom. He's immediately fine. So
Mm. Could be a mother's
I
touch.
think we're doing better today. I think yeah, because I also bathed him that night, and he hated every second of it. We bathed him again last night, and well, Lady A bathed him, much better. She was much more gentler, had, like, a washcloth and was being soft and sweet. I'm just in there throwing water on the dude.
Yeah, just to be clear, Lady A has not cut a chunk out of his skin with toenail clippers.
But that's the thing, as a dad, these are the jobs you get. You don't get sweet, cuddly sleep time. You get, "Hey, he's got long nails, get after it." That's your job.
Maybe you need to talk with Lady A, hit the trade market, offer up, "Hey, I get cuddle time and you take nail clippers. I'll throw in a diaper change in 2 weeks, future pick."
Yeah, Lady A has changed, I think, one diaper. So that's just how it goes, man. I mean, as the dad, this is your time to bond, is diaper time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's not very bonding. He's pissed. It's warm in there. Warm.
And that is just for you guys. So I'll be interested to see what my experience will be because might be different. I'm more of a cuddly guy.
No, I cuddle with him. Don't take away my cuddles. We get some cuddle time. It's just, he's an infant. He doesn't know he's cuddling with you. He's just asleep.
Man, I did not know about the, clipping the nails that early. That's a lot of pressure. Those things are tiny. I tried to, not to give myself a participation trophy, but I painted Lady G's toenails about a week or 2 ago I've never
Well,
painted
that's cool.
toenails before
You
for anyone.
why didn't you tell me that?
Yeah, I should've mentioned that, but, yeah, too pregnant to reach her toes,
That's awesome.
and she said and her outer toes are I mean, the nails are just not I mean, it's like a child, it's like a baby. So I'm, like, trying to get the nail, but it's just a lot of skin, and I'm, like, painting the top of her toes. Go ahead.
You're like, I'm mid sentence. Um, it I just I feel like Lady G's toes caught a stray there. I felt like that wasn't fair. She's just gonna be listening and be sad that you hate her toes.
No,
I love those toes.
not a weird I love those toes. Uh, no, I mean, I think she knows toes are she's got a good set of toes, that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying the nails are small on the toes, and so when you're trying to paint with this tiny little brush, it's really easy to get on the skin, and she told me don't worry about it because 'cause it'll wash
Wait, would
off,
a big
and
brush be
she meant,
better?
like no, that's not what I said.
And then are your toes not tiny at the end? I guess you don't paint them though.
I don't, and the nails are still way bigger than hers. I'm talking there's nothing around me to
I
compare it to.
what were you gonna find?
I don't know, but it's small, okay? It's you need a microscope to see the nail. But, anyways, to end this brutally long story, she told me I could get on the skin because it would wash off with water. That's a lie, and she went to her baby shower with just the top of her toes blue because I was way over the lines with the nails. Alright, let's get back to it here.
Um, what were we talking about? Oh, the toes.
You were talking about toenails, then I talked about Grace's
Yep, yep,
toenails.
yep. Oh, yeah, and so you were saying they're so small. That's where we were going. Um, it's true. You don't have to clamp down all the way, and that was what I did. I got a little resistance on the clamp, and I went in, and that's when I got the skin. I should have when you know there's resistance, you pull back. Yeah, Josh, the last 2 episodes were, focused on our birth and, obviously getting the baby here at home, and so I wanted to just check in with you. How are things going with you and Lady G? How's pregnancy going? Any updates on your end?
Yeah, things are going well, 35 weeks, like I said. Lady G is definitely ready to be done, and I think, story from our first day at the beach this afternoon really kinda sums it up. Grace's family's come here a million times, and, we're pretty active family, like to go boogie board and ride the waves, play games on the sand, whatever, and so we get out there today, and, me, my 2 sisters-in-law, and my future brother-in-law, we go out to the waves. I turn around, and Lady G's starting to get in the water with her mom. They're walking out, kinda starting to come out, probably a little bit more deeper than we had planned.
You guys prepped
Um,
this? You guys had a little game plan? Oh.
no, just, figured you'd probably just get your feet in the water. I mean, there's pretty good waves here. It can be dangerous, especially when you're 35 weeks pregnant. She keeps coming out, probably about waist high now, getting a little deep, and, she's starting to come towards me, and I see a big wave coming up, like, about to crash, and I'm like, "Okay, she'll hang back, let it crash and just kinda get out of the way." She starts going towards it, uh, wave crashes right in front of her. She goes down,
Oh
goes under the
gosh.
water. She didn't, like, flip or anything, but definitely kinda knocked her down and under. So, yeah, I got her out of the water, pulled her back in. We're like, "Let's walk back, hey, I don't think this is a good idea." And so we get back and I start talking. I'm like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And Lady G's funny when she does these cries that's
Aw.
like it's not like a angry cry or like a painful cry. It's almost like a dog just kind of whimpering, you know? Like when they're
Nothing like
like when they're
saying
just
your
kinda
wife does
sad.
things like dogs.
Like when you man, Lady G is catching some strays, it feels like, but it's not. Not. Uh, but when a dog, it's like when their owner leaves and they're just kinda at the door like, "Mm, mm, mm."
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been there.
So I'm like trying to console her, make sure she's okay, like, "Is your stomach everything alright?" And then she just hits me with this little whimper. She's like she starts like, "I wanna play."
Oh, that's so real.
Yeah, so I think, that kinda sums up, like, she's ready to pop this sucker out and kinda get back to life and be able to do things, so that was a funny story, and participation over to me real quick. I got out of the water, went back, sat on the beach with her, we chatted, had a good time, so I obviously went back in the waves later. I didn't do that the whole day, but I did take some time right there, so
Lady A wanted to play spike ball on our trip, and I was like, "Okay." I bounced
Mm.
it back and forth with her, and I was like, "We're having so much fun." She's gonna be mad at me when she hears this.
Whoa.
It was,
Whoa, babe, what have you
yeah, but it
done?
was one-on-one, like, no one comes up and, like, sees a pregnant lady and they're like, "Alright, you guys are on." And they
Were you like
no one no one was like, "Alright, this is my moment to beat these chodes."
We'll we'll play you guys
Yeah,
for it.
winner walks.
Did you hit her with any, like, fake, "Gosh, it was such a good shot, I couldn't get to it."
No, no, I never let her I'm not a let her win kinda guy, so
You just slammed it right back in her face. "Die for it, babe.
"Get
Make
up!"
an effort."
Yeah, no, yeah, so I totally that stinks for Grace. She's almost there. Lady A is going through a road to recovery, but once and Lady G will too, and then she'll be back at it, man.
Alright, we gotta get to this interview.
Yeah, excited for everyone to hear this interview. I'll let y'all decide for yourself, but personally, I do think male nurse Zach. Everyone keeps telling me I should just call him my nurse Zach, but it's you kind of have to say male nurse Zach. I think he might be the most interesting man in the world. You guys can decide for yourself. Um, yeah, his path to becoming a labor and delivery nurse is fascinating, and just generally a really cool guy. And yeah, just glad to have met him, glad to have interacted with him, crossed paths, and he's out there listening. So Zach, we appreciate you. Thanks for giving us the time, and we hope everyone likes the interview. All right, here we are. We have Zach, the male nurse who started off Angela and I's experience at the hospital for labor and delivery. Zach, welcome to the Other Dads podcast.
It's an honor to be on such a prestigious pod, and, I'm really stoked to bring some voice to a very little known community.
Yeah, yeah, we're happy to have you, man. When I went into this whole experience of our giving birth to our son, I did not expect to meet a friend and someone to join our podcast. So this has been such a fun part of the labor and delivery for sure.
Well, I love that you guys kinda spoke to some of the fears about, having, male care providers in the previous podcast. And I think I texted you right after I heard that part of the yeah, I texted you right after that part, and you're like, "Uh-oh, looks like I was I was like one of the I hope doesn't happens."
Yeah, yeah. You were on the list of things. Yeah, exactly. um, and I will say, yeah, when the way it worked, we were like in the waiting room, and they were like, "Here's Zach. He's gonna take you back," and we're like, "Oh, he's just gonna like walk us back there." And then he was like, "I'm the nurse." And then he was like, "I'm the nurse," and we looked at each other, but immediately, Zach, hats off to you, man. You created a great environment. Angela felt very comfortable. Yeah, it was really cool. It's a testament to kind of the work you've put in, and we'll get into kind of your character and what I learned about you. But yeah, Zach and I, he's setting up Angela, and he was talking about fathers and what they're usually up to during labor and delivery. And I told him, I've actually been prepping for this with the podcast and told him about the podcast. And Zach's been listening, as he mentioned. So Zach, when I'm in there, Zach mentions he used to be a Marine flying Ospreys. And the first thought I'm thinking is, how did he get here? So Zach, tell us about kind of your background, where you started in the Marines and where you still are as a reserve, and how you became a nurse. And especially, I think a nurse in labor and delivery is even unique in itself.
Yeah, I mean, some days I still kind of am shocked at what I do, even for me, and I walked it to get here. But first, thanks for the kind compliment.
Yeah,
That I kind of got into this because my friends, were feeling uncomfortable and we're not getting the care that I believed was a basic right for everyone. So,
your friends, your female
um,
friends.
no, I mean the dads too.
Okay,
Like,
represent.
the exactly, or whatever your gender or whatever you are. Like,
That's true. Yeah,
human needs just basic kindness and care when they come into the hospital, which is a scary place. I don't like coming to hospitals for my own care. So when you get that human presence, like that's so incredibly important to guide your experience at the hospital. So thank you for that compliment.
yeah,
It's important to me. How did I get here? So I always say the short answer is that I had friends that were hurting, and I thought it was intolerable for the experiences that they went through. I was in flight school, and we had some just deaths that were occurring in training, directly related to the stuff that we were doing, and that brought us all really close together, or at least my cohort, my class group. And shortly thereafter, some of the families were looking forward to their first births, and we were all kind of looking forward to a positive experience for that to kind of be a full circle from like death to life. And there was a lot of anticipation and excitement and positivity going into that. And then several of the experiences for the moms were, they would describe them as, like, traumatic,
Mm,
and I felt like these were things that were occurring to, like, family,
yeah.
and I was blown away by that. I thought, how could so many times did it, become a negative experience? And I knew nothing about birth other than every year on my birthday, my mom calls me, even to this day. Whatever time it is, she'll call me up and she'll say, "Hey, Zach, it's 10 o'clock. So I'd already had my coffee." Or if it's early in the morning, she's like, "Zach, I was just having my coffee, at like 7:30. And I was looking at your dad and I was like, hey, I think today might be the day." And it was Sunday. And she goes through the birth story like every time.
That's awesome.
When I was a kid, I was just kind of like, okay. But
Shut up,
at like,
mom. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But as I got older, well, especially when people didn't have that, but as I got older, it was just like filling me with a sense of like, um, so much. I just felt so special that before I even came into the world, like there was so much excitement and
Mm,
love that was like waiting for me. And I thought everybody got that. I thought everybody, could just ask their parent, like, about their birth, and everyone got like this really cool, rad story about how they were born. And then I experienced the complete opposite with my friends. And I was like, this is awful. This is going to be the story that these kids are going to hear like every
mm,
time
mhm,
wrapped up in their birth. And I thought about how much these birth stories affect kind of like your perception of yourself, not only for the kids, but also obviously for the moms. And they were just becoming these stories of disempowerment and an inability for them to do this like crucible like event that all moms go through. And I thought about how that was just tearing them down,
yeah.
especially while we were in flight school, removed from our families, already doing an incredibly stressful job, you know, where we were, and the families were just going through enough already. And it just really pissed me off. I was not the most in touch with my emotions at that point in my life, and I just got really angry. So I just started looking up, like, how do we fix this? And that's when I started researching midwives, which I thought were this like colonial, antiquated care style of like care or birth
It's
care from like
yeah,
colonial.
they need a rebrand, that's for sure. Like,
Definitely, yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, we need a new name for midwives.
um, yeah, I thought it was something that was done in the 1700s and was like no longer like we got rid of cauldrons and
Yeah.
like witches and midwives left with that group. Uh,
You know when, like, a team changes their logo and then they're cool again? That's what they need.
you know what? I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, that probably would we need to get in touch with like marketing in LA.
Yeah, like Midwives Corp, we gotta talk to them. If the I don't know if they exist, but whoever leads the midwives of the country, yeah, we gotta work on it.
Yeah. Um, so I was getting exposed to these things and realizing that midwives are how Europe does it. Like that's the baseline. Not all of Europe, but the countries that are having the best outcomes,
Yeah.
they all default to midwife care. And then as a birth gets risky, if there are higher risk factors, which are in the minority, then they go to uh, obstetrician and doctor care because they have, higher acuity, higher technical level skills in the medicalized way. So and then I learned about dual. Okay, well, I on the point of like where is it going well? Like that was the first thing I looked up. Like if we're having these negative outcomes, or how bad is it in the
Yeah.
U.S.? And I think when I looked it up, at that time we were number 50 out of all there's like 250 ish countries in the world. I think it's 230. Yeah, we were number 50 on our maternal outcomes, as in like maternal death, and our infant outcomes, so infant mortality. So we spend the most on healthcare, but we are in the ranks of like former like Soviet bloc countries
Mm.
on how well we do, like Slovenia or something like that, which is kind of crazy.
Mhm.
So I was like, all right, well, how are these top tier countries with their outcomes? Like, what are they doing differently? And that's when I saw that the midwives were, right there because they're the most trained at normal physiological birth. They have the most tools in their toolbox.
So you're reading up on this, you're like, "There's a problem here."
Yeah.
You start to say, "What can I do? How can I apply myself?" And that leads you where?
Yeah,
You're s
well, how can
and
I
you're
bring
still
how
and you're still flying ospreys, right, at this time, like,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
you have your day job, you're not just, like, sitting on your laurels, you're, like, doing awesome stuff, but this
Yeah,
is
this
just,
is
like this is
I'm
just
at
in
night.
your head, like, this is just something you can't stop thinking about.
Well, yeah, I mean, these are I mean, imagine if like, your sister or your cousin came home and just like had this awful experience
Yeah,
and you just wanted to help. You wanted them to be able to try again if they want to. And then I found out about doulas and I was like, okay, so midwife care looks like that's kind of like the baseline. And there's nothing against people that don't want midwives. That's absolutely fine if you just want to go in like for a scheduled C-section. I am not anti anything. Everything is a tool and it's going to be appropriate for every individual person and their choice.
yeah.
But the people that I was trying to help, like they wanted to go non-medicalized routes, so I was trying to facilitate that. So doulas were another thing that kind of popped up, and I had no idea what doulas were.
Yeah, what a weird word, they have good branding, for sure.
Okay. So doula is from Latin, and
Okay.
that means kind of like a servant to the laboring person. If you look at the outcomes of doula work, if a doula was like a prescription, like a medicalized thing that doctors could prescribe, it would be inhumane not to prescribe a doula
Mm,
due to their effects on reduced labor times, reduced events of cesarean section for those that are trying to avoid C-section, reduced medicalization of birth, reduced or faster healing on increased rates of how you like rate your labor experience.
mm.
All of these are there's scientific studies that are done on this. It's not all like a woo woo
Yeah.
area, which for me is like the Marine pilot. Like I needed data.
Josh, have you considered a doula or midwife?
Yeah, I think I talked about it. I don't know if it was episode 1 or 2, but, we had a friend that was a labor delivery nurse, but, she's been with home and her kids the last couple of years. So we thought about asking her, but I think she's could be having her 3rd child any minute now. So that was, like, the only person we really talked about. We, like, kinda discussed it, but, I mean, it is expensive, so
Exactly,
we
yeah.
had a friend so where it was like, "This could work." But I think it was something that we felt like it's a lot of money, and we don't necessarily know. Like, I think going through it one time maybe changes his opinion of
Yeah.
either way. But she also wanted to make sure like Lady G wanted to make sure she had someone that she was comfortable with,
Mhm.
and like had a relationship with. So I think that was really what she wanted was someone that she knew and kind of had her back versus just kind of like a hired doula.
Yeah. We considered both. I still Zach, I'd love to learn I know this isn't the point of this, but, I'd love to learn the difference between a midwife and a doula. But,
Yeah,
but
they're commonly mixed up.
yeah, we thought about it too, similar to Josh though, is like, the cost is something interesting and, like, I was like, maybe I can fulfill the role of the doula as the dad, which I know I can't, but, like, there's things like that that we consider too, so but yeah, I think Josh's point's good, like, maybe next time that's something we may consider even more.
Yeah, especially people that are, attempting VBAC, doulas are incredibly impactful, I think, and that's what I was drawn into with some of my friends that had
VBAC,
C-sec
I got it, I got this, vaginal birth after cesarean.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
I
right,
I
baby.
needed You crushed it. The A lot of people you mentioned actually earlier in your podcast too that you were concerned about timing and that you were already in, like, the red zone or, like, the
Yep,
last yard
exactly,
line.
that's when Lady A decided I think I'd want this, it was like, "Oh, we're in, like we're a week out, what does this mean?" Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that just due to the size of the impact that a doula can provide, I think it's still worth your time to make a few calls. And doulas are incredibly networked. So even if they can't service you, they can drop lines into their networks and see if people are available. And more often than not, I find that there is a doula that does have availability, especially in this major metropolitan area. There's going to be a doula in the area that could service you.
Yep.
On the cost thing, there are doulas that are at some point in their certification, either they're kind of finishing up their certification or they're like recertifying, and you can get discounted rates
Oh,
based
cool.
on based on like doulas needs for paperwork from their clients just because they have to recertify every so often. So that there's several ways that you can do that. And a lot of doulas do sliding scale. So based on your income, they will reduce their rates
Oh, cool.
um, as well. So there's a ton of options. Please don't let cost be a barrier to a positive birth outcome. Okay, so midwives
What?
are
I know the difference.
oh
Oh, coming back.
Well, one sounds like it's from 1700s, and one sounds pretty cool.
um, doulas do not provide medical care. All of the care that doulas provide, to answer your question, is non-medical. So midwives are like kind of like on almost on like the doctor level of care, or they're care providers. Or if you've ever heard of an NP, a nurse practitioner,
Yep.
all nurse midwives are nurse practitioners. So they are like advanced degree nurses that can provide their own care. They can prescribe medicine. The only thing that they can't do is cut. They can't do surgical care. So
That's much more intensive than I thought from the midwives. I don't know if you knew that, Josh. Yeah.
No, definitely not.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
okay.
Midwives, like they're Jedi's.
So you're a doula. You're doing some great work with your friends.
Yeah. So
And
well,
then
I'm
what?
not
It,
not yet,
oh,
right?
okay. Sorry.
So I'm learning all this stuff, and I'm coming back to like, you come back to it's basically on the weekends, coming to hang out with my friends, and it's like, hey, the guys are out back by the grill, and the girls are in, the living room, and I was like going over to the living room. I was like, guys, tell me about your stories, like what? And I was like, hey, this is what I found. This is the research that I found. Have you guys heard about like midwives?
This is like prom. You're crossing the barrier with the first
Yeah.
punch.
I'm going across and I'm like, "Hey guys, like I really want to fix this BS that we're going through."
Yeah.
Like I kind of did some light research and I just wanted to hear your feedback on what you guys think. If I'm off here or you think like some of this is useful. One of them eventually was like, "Zach, we want you to be our doula." I was like, "That is an awful idea. You do not want me that I don't even know where I'm gonna be in 2 days on the flight schedule, much less, like, 9 months. This is like, a recipe for disaster. You should you definitely deserve to get a contracted doula who's been trained in this, uh, over me, the dude who talks with his hands way too much. So, uh, they're like, "Yeah, Zach, you make some valid points, and, we've considered them. And it's either you or nobody. Because like you guys have said, you want someone who you can trust,
Yeah.
who
Mhm.
has been a friend, who you feel comfortable with in that environment.
Yeah, it's such a personal, yeah, I got to know my wife, in a different level than I ever knew her during delivery. It's so personal that your wife is so or your partner is so vulnerable. So like it makes sense that you want to be comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a sacred, intimate space.
Exactly. Yep.
And I was also thinking about that. I was like, hey, this is a very important place for women to work. I do not belong here.
Mm,
Um, I don't I'm gonna mess it up. It's like what I was concerned, and
yeah.
I was so keen on them having, a really important, and beautiful experience. And they're like, "Hey, Zach, yeah, we hear you, but it's either you or nothing because we trust you and we know you care and we know you're passionate about this and we know that, you won't lead us astray." And I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
Because at that point I was like, now I can't say no to that. Now I have to do this. And, they kind of forced my hand. And of course I was passionate about it. So fast forward to the birth, I do my training. I somehow by fate and circumstance get to have like time and space where I am available during their birth. Even after like the conversation with my commanding officer, I was like, "Hey, sir, I'm thinking about going to this, this birth. It's like, and
I got
he's like,
tickets.
yeah, and he's like, Zach, your wife's pregnant? And I was like, no, it's actually not my wife. It's Johnson's wife. And he's like, wait, Zach, before you say anything else, do we need to go in here? I
We
think I don't want you to incriminate yourself. Let's
can pull
let's
HR in here.
a lawyer before you say anything else. And I was like, no, it has nothing to do with that. I'm a doula, and like, wait, so you're just gonna go like be their birth coach? And I was like, you know what? That's exactly. Yep,
Yeah.
that's what.
Sure.
They're like, they're like, wow, we had no idea you were doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't either, but I am, and they're like, "Yeah, that's great. You go help them." And yeah, so I went, and then just lucky that I got to go, and yeah, so I went to the birth, and then I got to experience birth in a completely different, mind blowing way. From that experience, I always said like flying was like this level of magic, and then I experienced birth, and for me, like birth was like this doesn't really work for recording, but like I've got my hand like down low, and then
We've all
like
been there.
yeah,
Now his hand's high. His hand's high.
now my hand to the very, very tippy top of the screen, and it was the most incredible experience to watch life unfold and to see the transition from a negative experience around a birth to a positive experience for birth. And whereas the first one that was negative was like an anchor that was kind of like weighing down so much of that experience and future like discussions on it, like the second time that we were able to kind of like come together and really create a solid plan and be resourced and supported and have that mom have her own voice and use her own power in her birth, that was like a rocket ship to the moon for her experience. And it was a huge uplifting force in her life and how she views herself, her body,
Yeah.
what creating life is. It's incredibly empowering and impactful.
Yeah. Wow. What an experience, man. So then you caught the bug.
So then I was sold. I was
Yeah.
like, holy cow, this is way different than just picking, stuff up and dropping it off via a cool delivery method.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. And the office view is nice. Yeah, that was a huge demarcation point in my life where I, I saw it going one of two ways, and I just knew birth was going to be in my life for as long as, people needed help. And there's a lot of help that's needed.
All right, then you go to GW. You mentioned to me in the hospital that they were like one of the best schools for post active duty to like to your next career, I guess, right? That's why you chose them.
Yeah, from veterans to nurses, they're writing the book on how to create the best outcomes, and they've released a bunch of studies. It's called the VBSN initiative, or the Veteran Bachelors of Science in Nursing Initiative, and they got grants to kind of study this to see how to make it the most effective. And they do an amazing job.
Wow, what a journey, Zach. Thanks for telling us. Josh, you could tell why I hit it off with this guy. I mean, this is like the most interesting man in the world. This is unreal. He just like casually brings up we're in like labor and he's like, yeah, I used to fly ospreys. And I was like, I don't even know what an osprey is. Like,
Well, I think you guys asked like, what did you do before this? Like, because
yeah.
you're obviously no spring chicken over there, so like
Oh
you've got
yeah,
some.
because Zach had just started. You couple like what
Yeah.
3 or 4 months ago, is that right?
Well, yeah, I just graduated in December.
Yeah, Zach, I mentioned this, and you'll hear it in the pod before, but uh, Zach did great for us. But when you gave the lure lock, you said this thing's awesome, but it does look like spaghetti. I was nervous. I was like, I'm telling you, I asked the next two nurses if it was okay.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I did, and and they were like, no, it's great, and I'm like, the guy scared me a little bit,
Ah,
but no,
that's a good point.
they,
That's a
yeah,
good you know what? That's a good learning point. I need to write to not use that verbiage anymore.
yeah. Angela looked at me when you said it. I was like, I don't know, this is good. Uh,
Yeah.
no, but it worked great. They never had to replace it. They obviously used it. Yeah. And then Zach, I want so for the listeners out there, one thing that was cool is so Zach was he got us in there, got us in the
Yeah.
door. And he when he left, they do 7 to 7s, right? It's a 12-hour shift, which is brutal. But um, uh, we were there we were for over 24 hours in labor. But Zach was there before then, before even active labor started. But he said, "I'll come by and see you guys in postpartum." That's what he said. And then we wake up on Wednesday and there's Zach in our room again, and we're not in postpartum. And he's like, "You're not supposed to be here." Uh, and which was so funny. But it was really, I think, to start with Zach and then to end when we eventually ended up having to do a cesarean, very comforting, I think, for Zach or for and Lady A and I.
If you guys wanted me, I mean, I saw you guys still on the board, and I was like, "Oh, man, man, bless their
Poor
heart."
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, "Geez, they're still crushing it over there, like, going at it." And I wasn't supposed to actually have you guys. I was gonna take a different, set, and I was telling my, like, mentor, I was like, "Hey, these guys have" I brought them in, I started them up. Like whatever's coming, like it's not going to be easy on them.
Yeah.
I'd like to offer them support from someone that they already know so that they don't have to go through that curve of like, okay, is this person going to take good care of us or not?
Each change, you're like, "Who's this
Yeah.
person? What are they about? What's their story?" And so
Yep.
it was nice, like, in that moment where things are, like, going fast and, not too fast, but, like, things are changing and really emotional, it was nice to have someone we knew, so but I wanna talk to you about, the podcast so far. What do you think, about it? Like, you started listening after I told you that day, and
Yeah.
you've been texting me throughout it, it's been fun to get your feedback. What are your thoughts?
You guys are filling a vital space that there's not a lot of people talking authentically from your viewpoints about, what birth is, or um it falls into the trope of, dads being buffoons in the labor room, and that is so far from what their capability is and what they want to do. Dads want to do a good job. Dads very much want to like, do a good job in the room. They're just not given the tools.
Yeah.
So you guys are actually giving people some insight and to kind of take the stress down for what is a very stressful event for a lot of people. And I think that's incredibly important. So hats off to you guys.
Thanks, man. Last question for me, and then I'll throw it to Josh, is, do most men just pound food throughout this process? I just couldn't stop eating. Like, you showed me the pantry, and I probably had 2 egg salad sandwiches, 2 chicken salad sandwiches. I mean, so many I mean, I was just couldn't get enough of the pantry.
I'm so proud of you. Uh, those egg salad sandwiches don't get enough love.
They're pretty good.
Uh, yeah.
Like, because I 'cause I'm working my butt off in there. Lady A
Totally.
totally was doing her thing, and I am, like, just a support person, but it's like, she needs support, and then she needs me to get water, and then by the time I come back from getting water, she's having contraction again, so I'm helping her, and then she needs a pillow, and I do that after a contraction, and then I have to hold her again, and so
Yeah,
I'm just, like, powering through meals in there.
exactly. Yeah, you gotta feed the machine, man. So good job staying calorically ahead of the burn. Do some
I got made fun of. I got made fun of. Josh said I was being insensitive because Lady A couldn't eat.
No, that is not I did not make fun of you. I said that I had heard from other fathers that they had experiences where the mother would very much like to have you alongside the journey of not eating.
Oh, interesting. Well, you bring up a
So I
point
think
about
I think if the mom is cool with it, which it sounds like Lady A was,
yeah,
then have at it, but if she was pissed and you're over there just pounding sandwiches.
yeah. So you doing all that work and providing that one-on-one support and then creating the caloric burn that you did is great, man. Like,
Yeah, just talking to these doctors at 3 AM mid-sandwich was awesome.
yeah.
Fond
Well,
memory.
also, like like I said, it's a stressful environment, so different dads deal with stress differently, and it is interesting to see how the different dads deal with their own stress.
What's you got any stories for us?
I've been challenged to push-up competitions.
No way.
Oh yeah.
The golden hour challenge taken really seriously.
Getting that good pump on, before the next
Yeah.
contraction.
Mom is probably loving that. Like, "What the hell is happening?"
Yeah. Um, and then there's, been people that have been scared and, people that, get deep into their feels. And it's oh man, my heart just goes out to the people that they feel like they're in the horns of a dilemma, right? They want to help and they want
Mm.
to care for someone so much, but they've they don't have any of the tools. They haven't been getting any of the guidance. And a good nurse will give them something to do with their hands because dads really need
Yeah.
like just give me something to do so that I can help. And a
Oh, yeah.
good, a good nurse will incorporate that into the team.
Over to you, man. What do you got for Zach?
Yeah, I've got well, first just a couple feedback things. I'm encouraged, honestly. Just you I talked about I jokingly said in a previous episode when I think Christian asked me about being a doula and I sarcastically was like, dude, I can totally do it. Like I'm obviously trained. Almost an idea of like anybody can do it, which is not true. But Zach is like even today when you talked about it, I was afraid to reiterate that in front of someone who's doing this and is trained at this. But hearing you say that is encouraging uh, for me. And I don't have all the resources right now, and I won't in a couple weeks now. But um, just putting a bit of a sense of ease of there is a way that I can, like, do this effectively and be supportive and be helpful, and it doesn't mean, like, I have to either spend thousands of dollars for someone or I have to, like, become one myself, like, there's resources available, so, I'm encouraged by that, and it's cool to hear your story.
If we can change this, I think we can create an incredibly positive impact across the US with already the negative outcomes that we have. Like, I think this can be an incredibly positive impact for everybody's lives. If you want to do good, right?
That's awesome. So you mentioned you graduate from GW and then you get into this as a profession. I do want to ask. I don't know if it's because I know for some, like when you're a doctor or whatever, going through the schooling, you have residency where you almost like pick a place or you get placed somewhere. So for you, uh, is there any type of like they're reviewing your resume or you're in an interview and you're like, well, I was actually kind of just doing this as a side hustle already, so
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'd just like to make some money doing it now.
No, um, there's definitely. I mean, it's whenever I walk into the interview, there's not a lot of guys that do this. I think there's one other. I think there's only one other in all of Innova's hospitals. There's only one
Whoa.
other male labor and delivery nurse. Innova is I think they're the largest employer in the DMV other than the government. So when I walk in, it's like, okay, why you? And some of it's like, why you, as in like,
Mhm.
it's not it's not a majority of the time, but every time that I'm kind of like, walking in that space, there is a little bit of like, "But why are you doing this?" So so that question does get asked, like, "What's your background?" And then I kinda, like, go in, like, "This is what brought me here, and this is why I'm here." And, I'm very passionate about making a change in this thing, and, I think just, like,
Mhm.
background kinda shifted that. But it's yeah, it's a crazy life path, but I've just followed my heart and, um, yeah, just tried to help people, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. Christian, we talked last night. We talked about Christian. What is the term? The when you make a charge.
Oh, a charge nurse.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
charge
Yeah. So, which to remind the listeners is essentially you want a new nurse. Is that
no,
correct?
no, you ask the charge nurse for a new nurse.
Yeah,
They're like head nurse. Charge nurse
yeah.
is head nurse, and then you can call charge nurse and say, "Hey, I'm not vibing with this nurse. Give me a new
Right.
one."
Right. A call to the bullpen. Now,
Yeah, that's it.
for you, does that happen more frequently just because you're a male, or has that been like has anybody just, hey, very honestly, we'd be more comfortable with a female. We'd
Yeah.
like somebody else. And what has that been like on your end having to respond to that?
I'd say at least every week that happens. Um, and like a point out to the listeners, I think that's a huge I mentioned that to um Christian and Lady A, right when we got started and said, "Hey, if at any point you guys are not jiving with me or my services are not what you're looking for, you can fire me. Um, or you can obviously correct me if I'm making a mistake. But if at any point you guys are uncomfortable with me, you don't have to say another thing. You can just ask the charge nurse for another nurse. Oh yeah, do I get kicked out? Yeah, definitely. How does that? One, I think I'm happy that people feel like they can use their voice, and I think that's incredibly important. And I would never stand in the way of that. But oftentimes it's due to cultural or religion backgrounds, and I know that when they're making those I believe that when they're making those choices, they're not making any choices because they met me and they're like, "You know what? Zach is really messing up and he provides poor care," or I for whatever reason. It has nothing to do with me. It's oftentimes if they make the choice to invite me into their room, they're cutting ties with their faith base and their community, and they would get strong repercussions from that if
Mhm.
the word got out that they had male care and what that means for them. So that's okay. It's sometimes I wish I could just get a shot, like just let me do one, give me one pitch, you know.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into this experience that just happened. Christian and Lady A. You obviously were an eyewitness for a lot of what was going on, both the beginning and the end of their journey there. Yeah. I want you to give and Christian had advice from his dad to have thick skin. We talked yesterday. He had thick skin during that, had to grow that even more. Uh, I want to I want to do a performance review of Christian as the dad during labor and delivery. And you don't have to be like every single detail, but
Yeah.
maybe some strengths that were shown, some things that we think we're going to build on into the next quarter.
Well, number one, right off the bat, he gets top marks. He prepared himself as much as he possibly could. And from just listening to the podcast, the amount of attention and care that you went into each, because game day is game day, right? But how you perform on game day only is an like a small sliver of like your performance from everything that happened prior to. So Christian put a lot of time in the batting cage day after day after day so that he could show up and just, home run every one that was lobbed at him. So I think that's enough like analogies there. But it showed. It really showed. When he was asking questions, when he was trying to understand the process. And I think having that background, I'm curious, did that reduce some of your stress?
Yeah, I didn't, ultimately, the cesarean was kinda like a crap we got here.
Yeah.
Super thankful
And you
we
guys
had.
talked a lot about that in the podcast on like,
Yeah.
man, I hope we never end up here.
Yeah, super thankful that was an option, and so I felt very abreast up until then because we didn't go into that. We didn't, like, prepare ourselves for that because we thought, "No way, we're getting there." But before then, yeah, I did feel pretty well educated in, like, what I could do, how I could engage, how could I help alongside this the whole time, and the
Yeah.
different medicines she was gonna be taking and why she was taking them, and I also did feel empowered to speak my mind and say, "Hey, is this too fast? Hey, can we get more time?" Those kinda things.
You were here's the thing, I didn't get to see, all of game day or game
Mhm.
days for Christian. I just got to see I got to see the very initial, like, literally the first, like, maybe 3 hours, and that's just an introduction phase while I start the process. Then I handed it off, and then I came in, I think maybe a half hour to an hour before we went back for C-section. So, I mean, nurses do talk about, "Hey, what's been happening from before I came here and,
Here we go.
what's the plan after?"
Here we go.
And the word in the bullpen, of the nurses is that, man, they have been working so hard, and that dad has, supported her every step. And
Wow.
so and that's not something that gets said commonly. So I don't want you to think like, "Oh, yeah, everyone does it." No. The the amount of energy that you put into it was noted and was reflected upon with big smiles amongst the nurse team.
Yeah, thanks, that's great.
All right, enough of the lovey-dovey stuff. Let's get to some opportunities. Was there any feedback from the other nurses that you observed yourself that maybe you would say, I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have said that, he should have done this?
Um,
I've got thick skin, hit me, I can handle it.
when you go to an experience for the first time, you don't know what you're gonna need, and there's not a lot of, I don't often have to get, like, the cargo cart to help people move,
Ah. We moved in, man. We had so many bags. That's funny.
but you don't know what you're gonna need, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm and it's really hard to pare that, list down. So it's not a critique, it's just an observation. I was
Yeah.
rolling around with, like, the bellhop luggage case, wheelie for
Yeah, they
for
were
them.
wheeling around Angela or Lady A, and I'm wheeling around the luggage behind them, dude. That's fair. It did feel like we were moving in, but the thing is, you know what's so crazy? It's like we didn't have any of the stuff we needed. We had so much crap we didn't need. Like, I had I
Well,
had
paint a picture, explain, like, how much luggage are we talking about here?
oh, man, we had, duffel for mom, a duffel for me, and, like, a smaller duffel for JJ. Then we
So
had
we got 3 suitcases.
not I mean, they're duffels, they're small. Then we have
Not small.
then we have then we have a snack bag. What else did we have? We had another bag from Lady A with the different hygiene stuff. Oh, man, I had a little thing to put his footprints on,
Yeah,
that was in a box. We had the breast pump. We
which is
we had a lot.
yeah, the breast pump's not small.
Yep,
That's
nope.
like
think
It's a
we
fair sized
I
box.
waited to and you know, it's funny, I waited to bring in other stuff. We had, like, a My Breast Friend pillow for
Yeah.
breastfeeding.
Oh, I saw that later on. I was
Yeah,
like,
we had a lot of goodies. But the thing is,
yeah.
I only brought, like, 2 I had to get people to bring me clothes later because I didn't think I did, like, a 5-day stay at this place. I packed the wrong things, like, I should've just had more comfy clothes, and that's pretty much all I needed was comfy clothes, and same thing with mom. Mom didn't need, like, any clothes. Like, she was just wearing a robe the whole time, but she had, like, a couple outfits, you know? So
What did you plan on?
I don't know what we were thinking, man. We don't know. Like Zach said, we had no clue what we were doing, but yeah, we were moving in.
Well, there's, the dress up night that we have in the hospital.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have a formal dinner on Fridays that everyone.
We had to look ready for cocktail hour.
Yeah, the doctors come out, and they're all buttoned down and with bow ties.
Yeah, that's funny.
Um,
That is good
It's a
feedback.
gold it's the golden happy hour.
that's right. Yeah. Well, you know what? A point of failure for me is I didn't make you guys any mommy mocktails.
No.
Oh.
Whoa, that sounds awesome.
So here's a pro tip. Make sure you ask your nurse for your mommy mocktails for your golden hour cocktail hour after birth.
Wow, mommy mocktails. Let's do it. That's good for Josh. He's not there yet.
Just took a note.
Yeah. There's different recipes. And it changes, based on location, but I make a mean like mommy mocktail. And unfortunately, I think right after you guys, I had to roll to like they pulled me off. I think they pulled me off you guys and I had to roll, but I should have done that. Oh no, I can't because you guys were post cesarean. You can only do it after vaginal birth. That's
Okay, okay.
that's okay. I feel a little bit better about that.
Zach, how I felt like I was hysterical when the decision was made to go to cesarean.
So you were not well, here's one Achilles heel to every nurse's like bearing, and that is watching dads get impacted like emotionally or like the gravity of the experience. And it speaks to the level of like investment that they have in this. So I don't think I think you were very appropriate on what was happening because it was a huge shift of tactics. And you guys had done so much, work to go one way and then it ends up going another way. So it was heavy, man. It was a
Yeah,
heavy shift, and you had a lot of appreciation and respect. You were looking at Lady A in awe for like what she was doing. And
yeah,
and so many dads get to that point, and that's when like that's often when they break is like, holy shit, my partner is like magic, like what they're doing.
yeah, unreal. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure more than anything that she knew how strong she was and that she wasn't a failure. And the staff did a great job reassuring her that like it's just how this went. And you got a big old baby, and unfortunately, this is kind of where we're at now. So no, I think they did a really good job.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no critiques at all, other than like you almost got me. Like you had to like, all right,
Lock in.
yeah, I needed because there were so many tasks that needed to be accomplished, and I would have loved to like sit there with you guys and kind of like sit in that moment of appreciation and respect for what you guys did to get to that point. Let's see other critiques. Hold on.
Oh wow, keep them going.
Oh.
No, well, this is actually a good thing, and I want people to know this. You guys asked more questions than average, which is not a critique at all. That's exactly what I
Oh
think you
cool.
should be doing. Okay, here's what was really cool. You guys would like huddle. You guys would do your own like little huddles.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
You and Lady A, it's like, hey, like, what did you think about like this? And like, hey, did we talk about that? Like how or did I ask the questions? It's like, no, actually, you had another question about this. Like the amount of teamwork that you guys had and like how you communicated with each other was like this couple got it. Like they're coming at this like the way that I would want to, the way that I would want to do it, and like the way that you guys were supporting each other was really cool to watch because that's actually not super common.
Mm.
A lot of people don't do the classes, and so they have no baseline to pull from. And I think there's far more often people like have no idea what's happening, but they're too embarrassed to ask questions. And
Yeah, I think you kinda answered my question on, like, the flip side there of, what we talked about some with Christian of, like, being supportive, staying by the side, asking questions. Like, I feel like for a lot of guys, myself included, like, if like I said, if I don't know like what's going on or I'm scared, it's really easy to just check out and get quiet,
Yeah,
like pull away.
yeah,
And it sounds like that's probably a common thing that happens
yeah,
versus just kind of diving into that and like sticking to, hey, like it's about supporting the mother during this. Like it's not about me. And,
yeah.
um,
But
yeah,
I'd say, like, that's sometimes what happens, like, you'll see the dads just kinda post up in the corner and
right.
disengage, and I mean, I think that's probably better than nothing, right? Than for people to be alone, because that's the worst, is people birthing alone.
Mhm.
But there's just so much at your fingertips that you can provide a positive impact on, and dads aren't given that knowledge set. So I think that's the thing that I see that's kind of I'm trying to provide, like, teachings like, "Hey, do you wanna come in and do this?" Like, "Hey, let's talk about what's gonna happen next." Like, "Hey, do you have any questions?" Like, opening the door to question.
Mhm.
A good nurse, I think, will do that and get them engaged, and also, like, showing them where the egg salad sandwiches are, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's
necessary.
important.
Yeah. Or, like, where the coffee's at.
Oh, yeah.
I got 2 last questions. Uh, First one, and you might not have anything new that we haven't already talked about, but what is your biggest pet peeve in labor and delivery? Doesn't necessarily be,
Hmm,
just dads if it's nothing we haven't already talked about, but just
my
as
biggest
as a nurse on that side, what's the biggest pet peeve from,
I think the most frustration that I experience is sometimes I think it's the lack of sharing. I guess that would be the hardest part.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
If you're not or, like, let's say you get asked a question, but you don't wanna say yes to that for whatever reason, or if you're scared like, if you're scared that you might get in trouble with something, or if you're ashamed about something and you're withholding, like, information that's gonna impact your healthcare, that would be difficult because
Mhm.
I can't take as good care of you if you're not answering these questions
Yeah.
honestly. And that's also gonna put me in a position that I might have to experience something that I could have prevented not only for you, like, which is my primary concern, but now, like, because nurses get exposed to things like traumatic events, right? Like, they do see
right.
things, and it's kind of like, man, we could have avoided this.
Yeah.
That would be difficult. Yeah.
Okay, last thing, you mentioned that, there's so many resources out there, and, like, things for dads to look at and be prepared. Is there anything that you just an easy thing to give us as a reference or a resource for myself about to do this, and then for any listeners, there are some simple things to either read or watch or
Yeah.
learn from.
Yeah, there's a really simple 1-hour course that Evidence-Based Birth puts out, and I think that's kinda, like, nice to just hot wash, like, just go over with, on anatomy and, like, what birth looks like and how it's occurring. And it talks about, like, kinda like the hormones that are playing a role. So, it kinda, like it reduces some fear of, like, what's gonna happen or, like, how this process works. So,
Hmm.
I think that's, like, a good baseline. If you just do, like, search evidence-based birth, free birth class video.
My last question is, did you see the fellas this week?
That's an awesome question. Um, I did. I
Hell yeah.
actually last weekend, I had an amazing, like, 5 days off, which I've never had, and I went to Annapolis, and I linked up with some of the crew that I crossed the Atlantic with and got to see them.
Cool, man.
Boys,
That's awesome. Hanging out with the
Yeah.
fellas.
my last question.
Wait, you guys have to answer that too. Did you guys see the fellas?
Oh, yeah, no, no.
Oh, I saw all the fellas. I had a big weekend. You'll
Awesome.
hear it on the podcast, but yeah.
Okay, good.
My last question. You didn't hear this, obviously. It hasn't been released, but we talked about some difficulties Christian ran into with his hat and wanting to keep his hat on.
Actually,
I wanted to hear
that was gonna
if
be
you
I wanted to ask questions about that because that was rare too. I've never seen them. So no judgment. I think whatever. Again, we're reducing the stress in the environment, right?
Yep.
Never seen like the safety blanket clothing item. Like I thought like you were bringing the hat because like it brought you peace. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
and
I like hats. I do love hats. I
yeah.
I had the golden hour pick coming up, man. I didn't had my hair done, and, I wanted to wear this my cool World Series hat. My teams have never won anything, so, and I also wanted his footprints on the hat, which I ended up getting denied, by the way. They didn't put his footprints on the hat, so I'll have to do that myself. But yeah, no, that was the whole thing. And I was like, "What's the problem? It's a hat o over a hat," you know?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
I was just double hatting it.
It was definitely a look I'd never seen before on a hat. Not only the hat, but, like, the hat in surgical, like, attire.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks for not making fun of me, man. I appreciate that in the moment. Um
I actually had some questions
Oh, hit us, yeah.
about the podcast because it's not a visual, medium, but who laughs with trumpet lips? Josh?
That's
No,
Christian.
it's
That's
me whenever that's like a real, like, "Did we just do that?" That's me,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I think that's awesome. I was just curious because you never know who's, like, what
that's
their
true.
laugh sounds like.
Yeah.
Um,
That is my favorite laugh of Christians. I've tried to put it into my vernacular, and it doesn't come across the same.
yeah, podcast gold right there.
That's good,
Yeah.
that's good.
Oh, did you guys talk about how much lactation support you guys got on the other podcast?
A little bit. I got kinda sleepy, I think, towards
Yeah.
the end of that one. It was a long one. I do wanna do that, and I think you mentioned our podcast to someone there, and I think maybe trying to reach out to her even to see if she wanted to come on. Yeah, the lactation consultants were amazing.
Yeah,
And we've had success in the home, and we're doing really well now, and that was super helpful for, I
awesome.
think, Lady Ace morale to think, "I can do this," and, like, it's okay that it's not perfect right now, and, they were super reassuring.
It's a steeper journey when you're doing it after a C-section too.
Mm,
So
yep.
hats off to you guys for getting that done. Josh, I'm excited for. Are you guys doing the countdown to like how far out you guys are?
Uh, well, due date's the 5th of August, so, I don't know how many days that is, but it's June went by fast, and we have a pretty busy July, so I feel like pretty soon here we're gonna be like, "It's happening, get the go bag," and I'll be like, "It's not packed."
Wait,
Let me get
which bag's not packed?
yeah,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
7
15,
of them.
yeah.
We've got our nice luggage set that we got for our wedding, so I'll bring that. It's a
Nice,
three-piece, I think.
nice. I haven't seen that yet, so that would be a good look.
Can I bring my golf clubs? Is there any way they get used at all?
Yes. Yeah. It's a long time in there. And as long as you're saying "good job, honey" before every putt, then you're good.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it.
Oh, one thing I do wanna say is that there is not an explosion of blood when you cut the cord.
Oh, that was totally wrong.
I
Somebody told me that too, and I was like, "Uh-oh."
if the doctor basically doesn't, like, prep the cord correctly, it can explode like that.
Alright,
Because
thank you.
it's just a hose, right? The umbilical cord is just a hose, and if they, like, clamp it at the wrong spot and add pressure in the wrong area, when you cut it, it could, like, blow up everywhere.
Yeah, my
But
my stepbrother had told me about that, so that's where my information was from.
yeah, so he probably just got a doc that, had the right-in degree, but I've never seen it happen. I've never seen a doc do it at Fair Oaks. Usually they're pretty good. So you just like you clamp it at one point and then you pull the blood towards the baby, and then clamp it again so that there's very little blood in the cord area that you're cutting, ideally.
Yeah, sadly, I didn't get to do that. It's okay. It's always the next one. On the VBAC, we're gonna do
You
umbilical
know what?
cord.
The good point is you can ask. I thought about this for you specifically. I was like, man, he wanted to, and he didn't get to have that experience. And there's ways in which we could have done that. Like,
Oh,
and I'm kind of like debriefing every single birth because I'm still so new at this. But we could have made the cord longer, and you could have trimmed it.
mm,
We brought the baby back, so that's something that you can ask for all the listeners out there. You can ask like, hey, if we go to C-section, I would like to trim the cord.
okay. Good to know.
Trim.
Good
Yeah.
to know. Yeah, that would've been cool. I'm not, like, so sad, devastated, but it would've been cool for sure.
Yeah, it's a hard one to cut, man. That is true.
Yeah.
It's odd.
Well, alright, Zach, thanks so much, man. This was fun. Good to have you on. We'll, maybe we'll be back in touch. Maybe you could be a recurring guest.
One can only hope. You guys are off to a great start, and I'd be honored to come and support in any way.
Alright. See you, Zach.
Later, guys.
Thanks, Zach. All right. Thanks again to Zach for taking the time to talk with us, for being a faithful listener. I think it's probably a bigger challenge for him to listen to us because he pretty much knows all the stupid things we said and what we should be saying. So kudos to him for being able to. I mean, it's probably like watching a cringeworthy Office episode. He's just like sitting at home listening, being like,
Nope.
"Gosh, I wish these guys could stop saying that." But no, it was awesome. Gave us, way more info and time than I think we expected. So very appreciative of that. And I think the listeners will appreciate having some expertise and also some humor.
Yeah, we'll try to see if we can bring him back on to fact check us anymore. And I was pretty happy, Josh, from what you said, about him saying things that we did wrong. I was pretty happy he lost his notes mid-interview. He had to change locations, and
Yep.
he was like, "Oh, I had notes on things y'all had wrong in the other room," and I was pumped that he forgot them and left them because that could have taken us days for all the stuff we've gotten wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Up to quick in the game, we got a 2-run home run from the Rangers.
Yeah, it's not close, and I'm happy to take the L here because the Rangers need some wins.
That lady is keeping score. Good grief. Did you see that? She's got a notebook the size of her torso.
Hey, someone's got to keep book, man. Let's get into some segments, Josh. Where do we want to start? Let's do parenting that we saw this week.
Take it away.
So the first one I want to mention is not really from a parent. JJ's aunt is here, Aunt JoJo, and another JJ, I guess. I didn't think about that. And
Shout out
shout out to
JoJo.
JoJo. She is a nanny, and so she had some pro tips when she got here. I was telling her about JJ's relentless urinating all over me and everything around him, and basically why that happens, at least my understanding, is that it's it's warm on the outside and it's warm inside the diaper. You open it up and it's cold, and especially when you put the baby wipe there, it gets cold. So what you do, listen, Josh, I need you here. You gotta put the wipe under the rim, like under the waistband of the diaper, the baby wipe, and that cold gets in there. And while you do that for a little bit, he pees while you're doing that, and so it's caught in the old diaper. And since I've tried that, I haven't been peed on once, and that's been a whole day.
So far, so good,
We'll
as they
report
say.
back. I mean, I was getting peed on 2 to 3 times a day, so it's 0 today.
So essentially, you're leaving the diaper on, kind of doing a cold massage on the back of the
No, no, no,
waist,
it's on the frontal area near the genitalia. You're going
the pubic
Yeah,
area.
it's kinda weird to think about for my son, but that's what it is. And so you go under the waistband with the wet wipe, and it kinda that cold hits him there before you open it up.
Oh, so it's
Yep, yep.
above
And so the
the
release
sweet spot.
happens. Alright. Um, he releases his urine then, and then we open it up and no pee. One more parenting I saw this week. This one's funny. A friend of mine came over to see JJ. He has a son. He is a parent, okay? He's done this before, the whole having a kid thing. He's holding my son, totally forgets that he doesn't have a strong neck, and JJ just falls out of his arms into the couch. I was like, I kind of expected that from, like, a friend of mine who's never had a kid or something, but, like, this guy yeah, like
Me?
yeah, you. Like, this guy raised a kid. I mean, I think his kid's, like, coming up on 2, but
He's not doing
no,
well. He's struggling.
he's doing great. It's just, I'm just like, I just didn't expect that. He's just hanging out with him on this I guess he was kinda hanging out on his belly, and he just fell off onto the couch. JJ's fine. JJ is fine.
Did it hit any of his fontanelles?
I forgot what those were, man. That sounds like something you put on a pizza. What is a We don't have to review that. I really don't wanna know what a fontanelle is.
All right. It's very common. Your son probably
Oh,
has it.
come on, man. Oh,
It's not
okay.
bad. It's
Yeah, well
natural.
well, then good. He's
I
got
don't know.
he's got
It
a
could it could be
he's
bad.
got a
Yeah,
ton of them. Then.
it doesn't sound great. Basically, there's soft spots in between your
Oh,
skulls.
no, he's got regular fontanelles.
Nope, that's not it.
Um,
You either have them or you don't.
alright. That's parenting I saw this week. Uh, Josh, I think you had a Dr. Rick moment.
Yeah, I did. Not proud of it, but hey, it's beach week, big family vacation. It's natural to want to check the weather beforehand. I may have gone a little overkill with one, checking the weather and then communicating
Awesome.
that. I think on day one,
I brought up temperatures for the week as well as forecast for today's
Awesome.
rain
Yes.
4 times in one night. And Lady G at one point said, "That's the fourth time you said that." So,
I mean, how else would everyone know when they're gonna play if they don't know when the rain's coming?
yep, yep. And I now here's what I'll say: I did stop myself as we were walking back from the beach today. We walked past the pool, people in the pool, and one lady was looking at the very dark clouds and said, "Yeah, I think it's coming this way." And I was so close to saying, "Yep, time to get out, lady," but I did not. And so if they get struck by lightning, that's on them. Okay. I'm not going to be the dad that helicopters over others.
There you go. Look at you pulling yourself back in, coming back to reality.
That's right. So I've toned it down, but yeah, my dad turned into meteorologist about 10 years ago, and it got to me now, I think.
That's great. All right, Josh. You also had a variation on what the book said of the week. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, what the book said
Here's
of
what
the
we should do. We
week.
should keep a tally of how many times Josh talks about what the book said of the week without reading a book. This is
Yeah, I'm kind of a pro at
this
this,
is week
actually. I don't even have to read the books to get the
yeah, this is like
knowledge.
week 3 of you having a what the book said of the week without opening a book.
Yeah, this is a what the fill in the blank set of the week. Yeah, we're at a nice beach house here, nice rental, and like many rentals do, they provided some board games. I don't think they've updated these games in 30 years, as the first option we had was a 1999 cult classic Battle of the Sexes,
Whoa.
which essentially is trivia that's catered towards one of the sexes, and the other sex has to answer that.
All right.
Okay. And so to sum that up for you, in the 90s, questions for women were around three things: making babies, sewing, and the Brady Bunch.
Wow. Very, very classy.
Yeah,
Very
me and
progressive for
my
the time.
oh yeah, me and my future brother-in-law did not do well. And the questions for the guys were sports, cars, and that was about all I could remember. Didn't know most of those, to be honest. I don't know much about cars.
Yeah,
Not a car guy.
I was gonna ask you, do you know a car guy? I feel like that used to be a thing, and I don't know any car guys.
My father-in-law is pretty much a
He's a car
handyman.
guy?
Oh yeah, he does
Shout
it
out to
all.
father-in-law handyman.
Yep, we'll call him Leroy.
All right. Is he gonna come up a
Um,
lot? Or
so
does he need a name?
maybe I don't know,
Okay.
man. Anyways, so I wanted to quiz you on a couple questions that were centered around, like I said, baby
All right.
making
I'll
for
do
the
my best.
ladies. Okay, and I believe I got both these right. What position is the? No, excuse me. All right, let me just ask it this way: do you know what a breech is?
Yeah, when the baby isn't head down. There's lots of different kinds of breeches.
Ding, ding, ding. That's correct. I would have taken feet first, maybe butt first.
Yep. It could be, sideways, yeah. Another breech that's really scary is when the umbilical cord comes out first.
Yeah, that does sound scary.
What do you never heard of that? Essentially, they can't breathe then. They have to co
I want to ask Zach about that. I don't know if that's the thing. I never
they
heard of
got
that.
they gotta come out first. Yeah, I mean, it could be totally wrong, but from what I understand from my parenting or no, pregnancy class, that's another fear.
Yeah, so I got kind of laughed at because I was just thinking out loud when we were playing. I was like, my first thought is like breech means we're doing a C-section, which is true. Like if that's happening, there's probably going to be a C-section.
You can do some things to make the baby move, but yeah, most likely if it's getting too late in the game, that's true.
Yeah, but me and my like I said, me and my future brother-in-law, Big P, we figured it out. We got it feet first, so we got that. So I learned that. Second one I learned, which I was correct on. I took a nice guess. Can the mother get pregnant while nursing?
While breastfeeding? Yes.
That's correct. I also asked the clarification. I said, by nursing, do you mean breastfeeding? And that was a big laughter from all the gals in the
It's
room. I was
I
very
have a hard time with that nurse thing. It's like, what does that have to do what does a nurse have to do with breastfeeding? And, it's a nursery,
nope. You're thinking
huh?
no, no. It's I think there's another form of the word nursing that means like to provide for one. Like a mother bird nurses a baby bird.
I don't like it. Why don't you just say breastfeeding, you know? It's it always throws me off. People are like, "Oh, she's nursing." I'm like, Nursing what? She's got she's got a boo-boo or something? I don't know. This is stupid.
Yeah, so that was a fun game playing the 1990s Battle of the Sexes.
Nice.
All right, Christian, your favorite segment? I've yet to contribute. Purchase of the week, stress purchase.
Yeah. This one, it might be eradicated because of, uh, JoJo's tip on, the handy wipe, but, man, I was really tired of getting peed on and I was washing linens every day, for the crib sheet and the, changing sheets and stuff, so, I got this thing called the PPTP. Yep,
PPTP.
and, it it is what you think it is. It is
I don't
I
know
mean,
what.
what do you think it is?
Oh, well, when you said PPT, I was thinking
Nope.
PowerPoint. Uh, but
I bought a
now I'm
PowerPoint.
thinking now I'm PowerPoint. Now I'm figuring out the PP part and the TP
Yep.
part.
Alright, hit me, what do you think it is?
Toilet paper for the penis.
Nope. The TP part is I guess that's confusing. No, it's like a teepee, like
What? I'm wrong?
the camping teepee, like the indigenous teepee that they lived in.
Oh, boo! That's horrible marketing.
PPTP, and it's like, yeah, it's like a little triangular dome thing that you put over said pee-pee during changing, and then if they were going to pee, it would shoot up into there and catch it, and then you just have to wash that.
Wouldn't that fill up?
Well, no, it just kinda soaks in. It's a absorbent. It's not they're not peeing down, they're not, like, peeing into a cup, they're peeing up into a teepee.
Oh, so you're putting a dome over it,
Yep,
so it
while you're cleaning them up, you put that over. But,
there must be some strong absorbent for that not just drip
well,
right
you've
back on
got
them.
man, you've got a lot to learn, man. You've got the new diaper underneath, and it's ready to absorb anything that comes out. So I'm averaging probably 1.6 diapers per change because he pees and ruins another diaper because it's catching the pee.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna say you're wrong because I haven't done it yet, but I'm hoping that I don't have to burn a new diaper and process of replace. I mean, I feel like the goal would be to not have the new diaper also end up getting
Yeah,
urine on
well
it.
you don't continue to put it on. You would get him a new one, another new one.
That's what I'm saying, you just wasted one. I mean, that's your cost of
Yeah,
goods
well, I
there is
mean,
terrible.
that's the cost of having a boy. They just pee on things. It's just that's
Corporate's gonna be coming down pretty hard on you guys for some of this lost inventory.
Yeah, I mean, we're environmentally not good, you know? 1.6 diapers per change. It's not a good number. It's not a good KPI. Yeah, I'm excited about the new trick from Aunt JoJo, but if it doesn't, the TP is the backup plan.
Mhm. Yeah, and with you not doing PP so far for the male genitalia, we've got peen, sweet spot, penis, and PP.
Sweet spot is by far the worst and weirdest. And
Disagree. I disagree. I think peen is by far the
no, I mean, sweet spot for an infant, that's awful. I mean, it's an infant. It's just I hate thinking about that. That's on you, man. I'm not a just for the legal people out there, I'm not associated with that word and that phrase. That is all Josh.
well, in reference to urinating, that's the sweet spot.
I can't do it. No, I'm out. That's you. I'm not associated.
All right, let's finish. Let's finish up.
We can move on. Yeah, no, everyone's favorite segment. As we talked about, it's very important. As your father, it could be isolating you've got to make sure you see the fellas. So, Josh, did you see the fellas this week?
Yeah, I think I saw the
All
fellas this
right.
week.
What'd you do? Oh, my voice
Well,
cracked.
like I said, we're at the beach. We're at the beach, and I've got my future brother-in-law here, which I would say it doesn't count if it's like just all the family hanging out. But we did go golfing together on the way down
That
yesterday. So
that
just me and
counts.
him, just a couple of fellas hitting links. It's. I don't know if you've noticed a theme here. I've now seen the fellas 3 times, I think. No, 4 times, and 3 of the 4 have all been around golfing. So that's about all I got.
Hey, you take what you can, and that's what you enjoy. So
Play the
that's how it
hits.
goes.
Christian, did you see the fellas this week?
No.
All right, that is going to do it for episode 6 of the Other Dads podcast. Some dads are on the sideline in labor, some are in the game, and no dad is perfect.
Thanks for being the other dads.
Peace.
Finger guns.
Game 5 of TOD Pick'em goes to Josh as the Rangers defeat the Orioles 11-2. I am now up on Christian 3-2 in the series.